Good morning, Tampa Bay. Mayor, thank you for showing up, and we really appreciate it. Line one. Thank you all for coming out. I know this is somewhat early for people on all sides of the bay, but we appreciate it. This is about sustainability and how important it is to our community, our region. We're seeing the mayor step up every instance talking about sustainability. This building is now a gold LEED standard, which is fantastic. Fantastic to the leadership within this team, bringing it all together. We're going to recognize the folks that made it happen in a moment. It's a really big deal in Colliers International worldwide. We put a great emphasis on it. We have teams that totally focus on sustainability. It's every seed makes a difference going forward. You can do it. We saw it with Mayor Como and what he's done in New York, and Mayor Buckhorn, we're so proud that you've taken up the mantle and are helping us in Tampa Bay and leading Tampa Bay as a region into this effort. I'm not going to take too much of your time except to thank you for coming out and welcome you. And at this time, do you want the mayor to come up or Matt? Matt? Okay, Matt Harvey with ownership.
And when you say fearless leader, he truly is fearless. Just bump into him and you'll find out. My role today is to recognize some of the behind-the-scenes folks. But first I want to explain a little bit about how we got here. Our firm, Still an American Property, which has been around since the early 70s, has really tried to embrace, when possible, taking on LEED projects. And we've probably done a half a dozen of these in the last few years. But I believe this is the oldest building with air conditioning that we have been successful in achieving LEED certification for. So while it's the original high-rise in downtown Tampa, we feel very proud of the fact that we've been able to make this building new again, in fact, from the inside out. And it really couldn't have been done without the challenge of Rob Bergman, our senior vice president from Snelling, who sat with Mary and I a couple years ago and said, "Can you do this?" And we didn't think there was any way we could, but here we are today, having accomplished this terrific goal. So I'd like to recognize some of the behind-the-scenes people who, without whom we wouldn't be here, but with whose support this project has really been a terrific success. From Colliers International, Lee Arnold, who you've heard from earlier, John Scott, is John here? John Gerlach, who heads up the operations, Claire Calzone, who's our leasing director, Juniper Duffner, is she here? Who's the head of property management, and Allison Briones, who keeps the building running on a daily basis. And our friends from B2 Communications, who not only helped us put this event together, but will continue to help us tell our story, and in theory, motivate some other folks in the great city of Tampa to do the same kind of activity to further enhance sustainability efforts in Tampa. And they are Kyle Parks and Jenny Fogel. So thank you all for your behind-the-scenes work. And now I'm going to introduce Mayor Buckhorn, who's going to introduce you to the people who did the real heavy lifting here. Mayor Buckhorn?
First of all, before I do anything else, let me introduce a couple people that allow me to be up here and do my thing. And that's the amazing city staff that I have the privilege of working with. Tom Snelling, Bob McDonough, the crazed Irishman who runs all of our economic development efforts and is really responsible for getting a lot of this done. Christine Burdick, the executive director, CEO of the Tampa Downtown Partnership, is here. First of all, to all of you, thanks. To the investors, Lee, everyone who made a commitment to this building, let me say thank you. It is not only financially the right thing to do, more importantly, it is morally the right thing to do. And to repurpose these existing buildings and to do it in a way that is environmentally friendly, to prolong the lifespan of this building. You see from the pictures here, this was the first major high-rise in downtown Tampa. It was a signature building for a lot of years. And to be able to come in and do what you did at significant expense to make this building more environmentally friendly, to receive the gold rating, really is a testimony to your character, your commitment to this downtown, but most importantly, your commitment to future generations and how we live our lives as Americans and how these buildings have an effect on the quality of our life. You know, I couldn't help but be struck looking at that hole and looking at that picture of what the skyline looked like in 1973. And I think about what's going to happen over the next 6 months here in downtown Tampa. I mean, there is not a more exciting place to be, I think, in America than right here in downtown Tampa. Tampa Bay has created more jobs than any place else in the state of Florida in the last year. This is a place that in the next 6 months, we will break ground on 3 brand new residential high-rise towers. We just broke ground yesterday for one in Channelside. We'll be breaking ground in a month or so on another one in Channelside, and hopefully within 6 months on the tower down by the Straz. By Thanksgiving of this year, the Riverwalk will be completed. 6 mayors, 40 years in the making. Starting with, yeah, that's it. And you know, I am just the beneficiary of hard work by mayors starting at Billy Poe and Dick Greco and Bob Martinez and Sandy Friedman and Pam Iorio, and I just have the privilege of ending that process, or more importantly, starting the next phase. 2 hotels will be completed this spring. You know, you talk about repurposing a building. Just imagine what that old federal courthouse is going to look like 3 months from now, when we took a building that had been abandoned for a decade, that was rotting by neglect, that was costing the city over $100,000 a year to maintain, just the air conditioning and cut the grass. And that will now be a 130-room boutique hotel at Le Meridian. If you haven't had a chance to go see it yet, I can tell you it is going to be an amazing restoration of the most historically significant building in downtown Tampa. Right down the street. Those of us that have been here for a long time remember it was the old IBM headquarters. Will now be transformed into an Aloft hotel. Going up the river in the Tampa Heights area, the city of Tampa again took an abandoned waterworks building that had been vacant for decades, put an RFP out on the street. The Gonsmart family came in and they are building as we speak. I think Richard's about $4 million into it. A steakhouse and an oyster bar called Eulalie Springs. The city is digging out the spring that used to provide most of the water to the city of Tampa 40 years ago. The spring is now bubbling crystal clear. We're redoing the park right next to that. So you will have the equivalent of Tampa's Tavern on the Green, on the river, with boat slips, anchoring the northern end of this. This is a special time for this city, and particularly for downtown Tampa. Residential demand far outstrips the supply. And when residential demand occurs, retail follows. And there's demand for office space. And there's leases that are being signed for great buildings like this. This is our time, guys. This is downtown Tampa's time. This city's got its swagger back. We're not going backwards anymore. So I need you to invest more. Come on, Lee. Free up some of that money in your pocket. Yeah, there we go. I want more buildings. We're going to change this place. We're going to change this place. And 10 years from now, they are not going to recognize downtown Tampa. I promise you. Because I don't sleep much. I don't expect you guys to either. So good job on this. Let's get to work on something else. And we'll be able to turn this city over to our kids in much better shape than it was given to us. Thanks, all of you. Oh, here we go.
Just come out front.
All right. The only thing I like better than cutting ribbons and shoveling dirt is giving plaques away. All right, here we go. This is the plaque, LEED Gold certified. This belongs to all of you that were part of this, but particularly to you.
I'd just like to take a second and recognize my team that worked really hard this entire year with Leading Edge, that our consultant for our chief engineer, Fraser Payton. You come up. Our assistant chief, Pete Macaluso. Dexter Gordon. And the lady who keeps us all running, Allison Briones. And Andy and Sarah from Leading Edge. Sorry.
At this time, we'd like to call Leading Edge, who is the consultant, to come up and give us a synopsis of what we were doing in the building and how we accomplished this model. It's Andy Rhodes and Sarah Hickman.
Well, we're very excited to be here. My name is Sarah Hickman, and I worked very closely with the property management team through this process. And I work with a lot of property managers and a lot of different owners. And this is our first project in Florida, and I have to say I'm very proud to have worked with this team. You guys are phenomenal. You've raised the bar, so thank you for making it a pleasure to work with you. Just to give people a brief synopsis of what LEED really means. It's about focusing on reducing your footprint, your environmental footprint, from a people, planet, profit perspective. So we work to conserve water. We work to bring our energy consumption down, which Fraser and his team have done a phenomenal job with their high Energy Star score. By reducing our waste consumption, purchasing sustainably in the building, and also creating a very healthy work environment for the tenants and for the staff here. So we want our tenants to be productive, right? So if anyone has any questions.
Thank you so much, Sarah. We appreciate their efforts in this regard, and we'd like to now call from the mayor's office Tom Snelling, who is Sustainability Director for the City of Tampa.
It's very difficult to follow Mayor Buckhorn. He made the statements and he gave you the broad brush and the bigger picture why all of this is very important. One of the things that he did not say is one of the efforts, it's what you do as a private sector and how you contribute and be a partner in what we do is also very important to the city. One of the things that's terribly important for us is to continue with our Florida Green Building Coalition's Green City designation. That, when we got that first designation, we were the first city to achieve a gold level certification on our first application. We were the first one in the state of Florida to achieve that. Now it's time for us to reapply. The original certification, you had to achieve a 41% of reading all the elements that are involved in what's considered to be a green gold level. They upped the ante on us. Now you have to achieve over 51%. The city is on track. We filed our papers on June 30th to do that. We're looking at hitting around 54 to 56%, depending on which points we'll maintain. But that increase of upwards of an additional 15% is what we've managed to achieve over the past 3 years with a whole variety. A lot of them aren't real sexy. It gets down to, recycling and weighing your garbage and energy reuse and hybrid vehicles, and it's not the real, water and sewer, things like that. Again, they're not the real sexy things like, cutting ribbons on beautiful buildings, but they are terribly important to the overall achievement of what it means to be a sustainable community. And I think once we achieve that level again with the 56%, Tampa will once again be recognized as the front end of what's going on in the sustainability and the green. But I do want to emphasize that we get points for what you achieve. The more, as Mayor Buckhorn says, he wants more and he wants it faster. The more that happens, our next goal is to move towards a platinum designation, and we won't be able to do that without your help. So I encourage you to continue down this road. Existing buildings consume approximately 40% of the energy consumption of what goes on in generally in an urban environment. New buildings are built fairly efficient. Older buildings are the energy suckers, and when you take a building like this and readapt it and reuse it, you do serious reduction in the energy consumption overall for the entire community. And for that, I'd like to thank you. So continue the work. keep on the lookout. I should be making some announcement as to when we get our green certification. The mayor will be able to talk about that a little bit later, sometime in the next several weeks. So have a great weekend and enjoy.
Thank you so much, Tom. This time I'd like to invite up a close personal friend, Lacey Willard. She's past chair of BOMA, Greater Tampa Bay, and also as the chair for the USGBC local chapter. Her and I just returned yesterday from Washington, D.C., talking with legislators regarding sustainability, insurance, and other issues that affect us. And in fact, we're traveling to Tallahassee to do the same thing next week. Lacey?
Thank you, John. Amazing work going on by our organizations and advocacy efforts. And I'm so excited to join this group today as the chair of the Florida Gulf Coast chapter of the U.S. Green Building Council. Our chapter shares in the excitement and achievement of a LEED Gold certification. And this is a project that provides inspiration to an ever-growing trend and an ever-growing demand, really, for a sustainable built environment. Our chapter is much like the city of Tampa, as we heard from Mayor Buckhorn and staff, and much like the owners of this project who have invested in this important certification, much like the tenants in the building, and all of those partners who achieved this LEED Gold certification. We're all seeking to engage and to educate and to encourage our community towards the promise of a future of green building and green living. Mayor, you mentioned generations and our chapter as a vision that we will hand the next generation a healthy, self-sustaining Florida. And wouldn't it be amazing if the original designers, original builders, original tenants of this building, the first high-rise in Tampa, wouldn't they be proud of this vision being achieved in this LEED Gold certification for this building, a healthy, sustainable building? We would like, as a chapter, to extend our warm congratulations for the LEED Gold of Park Tower, and this really proves that you're a trusted partner in sustainability. It is with the successes like this that sustainability and advocacy, in education and community engagement in not only our region but our nation is achieved. And so again, congratulations and thank you.
In closing, I want to thank everyone for attending this morning, and to Lacey's point and the mayor's point, Tampa is positioned well to go into the future, and we're looking forward to the success of Park Tower and all the other projects that are going on in downtown Tampa and its greater surrounding area. So we have food and refreshments in the back. Please enjoy, and thank you very much once again.